David, if it's okay, I actually just want to start with the technology itself. You know, Glue's built to support both GPT-4 and Claude 3, and I just wondered if you talk us through the approach you took in building it.
Right. Well, we want to be LLM agnostic. We want to work with really all the major LLM models, and we're starting with ChatGPT and we're starting with Claude. And by the way, we're using the latest version of ChatGPT, ChatGPT 4 Omni that they just launched yesterday, and it is pretty awesome. The performance is terrific. But stepping back a second, what we're trying to do with Glue AI is create the first AI native chat app. And what it does is it creates one place where you can have your chats with AI and your chats with humans, with your team, because we think employees want to do that in one place instead of going to two separate apps. The problem with ChatGPT, as awesome as it is that it's not a multiplayer experience. There's no way to bring your coworkers into the chat with you. And the problem with Slack is really that the channels get in the way. And we hear from lots of teams that they have channel fatigue and really want this new threaded conversation model without all the channels. So that's what we've done with Glue.
David, we know you as a venture capitalist, right? A long-time investor in technology companies. What was the need that you identified, or the gap in the marketplace that you wanted to start and build a company yourself and the tool, rather than back, I guess, or invest in another player?
Well, you know, before becoming an investor and before becoming a podcaster, I actually was an internet product guy. I was a head of product at PayPal. And then I created a company called Yammer back in 2008, which was the first, or one of the first, enterprise messaging platforms. And back then, it was based on the idea of feeds, which, thanks to social networking, were kind of the conversation paradigm. Then, you know, the next decade, we had Slack, which was based on IRC and channels. And now we have a new conversation paradigm that's based on AI. It's based on ChatGPT. I think every decade you get a new paradigm like this, and you need a new communication tool. And that's what we've built with Glue. I just didn't see that tool on the marketplace that was reacting fast enough to this disruption. And so I partnered with Evan Owen, who's my co-founder and CEO, in order to create Glue.
Now, David, I know that you like to start your pitches with a demo. So let's demo it a little bit. I want to look at how it looks, it feels, and how it's going to interact. And as the founder, as well as putting the money into this, are you not worried about, well, the competition that's out there? Because everyone's getting into enterprise generative AI.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, right now, every enterprise SaaS app is trying to figure out how to incorporate AI into their product roadmap. There's no question about that. But I think there's still a pretty big debate about where AI is going to live in the enterprise. Where are you going to go to ask those sort of broad-based questions about, for example, who in your enterprise has the right expertise, who should be talking to, those sort of core enterprise collaboration use cases. And our view on it is that AI should live in the chat, because again, you don't want to have one application for your AI chats and one application for human chats. It all belongs together. And the AI, what we found is that when you do incorporate the AI as a full-fledged participant into the chat, it's able to use all of the live chat history as context. And so your work chat app is able to give you answers that regular ChatGPT could not. We've had really staggering results at Craft Ventures using this product internally. I've asked the AI to write investment memos for me, summarize the arguments for and against investing in a company. It's done an unbelievable job just assembling those arguments based on the chat history. I've asked it who is contributing the most to deal flow at Craft, and the AI is able to tell me. It's really amazing the answers you can get when you give AI access to your chat history.
Amazing answers built by, in many ways, amazing large language models that underpin it. I'm interested in you having sold Yammer to Microsoft previously, having understood the way that M&A works and a company that looks for exits, is now seeing all these interesting partnerships, shall we call them, being done, whether it's acqui-hires, whether it is OpenAI teaming with Microsoft, Anthropic, of course, going in with Amazon and Google at the same time. How do you judge that as a VC?
Well, there's innovation happening at every level of the stack. I mean, you're seeing tremendous innovation at the foundation model layer. You've got OpenAI, you've got Anthropic, like you've mentioned, you've got AI now launching that we just invested in. Then you've got innovation happening at the application layer of the stack, where applications are able to take advantage of all the new capabilities created by these LLMs. And if you're positioned correctly in the application layer, you don't want to compete against the models. You want to harness them so that as the models get better and better, your application gets better and better. And that's what we've seen with Glue, is that with each new release of ChatGPT or these other models that we've incorporated, like Claude, the Glue chat tool just gets better and better. So we're going to ride that wave as the underlying model innovation continues and the models get better and better. The features of our application will get better and better. And that's how you want to position yourself.
Sorry to interrupt you. David, you had Sam Altman on the All In pod last week. And I think on social media, there was some debate, which you participated in, about whether he'd said anything new. But go to yesterday's presentation from OpenAI. How much of it then surprised you based on the conversation you'd had last week?
Well, in retrospect, he gave us a bunch of hints last week. So I shouldn't have, I was being a little bit uncharitable, but really I wasn't criticizing Sam. I was just trying to ratio Jason. But yeah, no, Sam gave us a bunch of hints last week that now make a lot more sense in the light of ChatGPT-O yesterday, which really was an impressive demo. And like I said, we've already incorporated it into Glue, and I can tell you the performance of it is way better than GPT-4 Turbo. So kudos to the OpenAI team. They've really done a great job with that.
David, quick question. Just thinking about Kraft's portfolio, did you try to get into the XAI round?
Yeah, we did. We've participated in that.
And from a follow, will you integrate XAI into Glue? And how are you thinking about whether winner takes all or whether there will be, of course, well, a commoditized version of large language models here?
Yeah, I mean, I expect that we'll integrate with all the major LLMs. Our view on it is that we're LLM agnostic. We want to give our users the choice of which LLM to use. And in fact, we're going to plug into all the major LLMs, and then we can actually make the choice for them in terms of which model to use based on the query that they're trying to ask. So we actually think that the more models, the better.
Do you think XAI could have got a large valuation?
You know, I'm going to let them announce their own round. I don't want to announce their round for them, but if the question is whether we participated, we did.
David, look, it's an election year, a presidential election year. You talked about your background in technology and being a tech investor, and you've been vocal on the political front. Will you be more active this year in this election cycle?
Well, you know, we talk about politics as one of the topics on the All In pod. We discuss current events, business, markets, politics, foreign policy events all over the world. And so obviously the election is unavoidable. And it's no secret that I've been a critic of Biden. So I may get more involved in the sense of maybe hosting events, maybe contributing, but it's really it's certainly not the main thing I do. Let's just put it that way. It's the way that you get involved in the political process is that you typically host events and you get to maybe meet the candidates that way, and that's something we've tried to do. Me and my co-host in the All In Pod, we've done that now for Robert F. Kennedy Jr. We did that for Vivek Ramaswamy. We had him on the pod, and then we did events for them. And we've extended an offer to the other major candidates and hope that they accept.